We're now in the front yard, and joining me is Marcus along with Oklahoma Conservation Commission. And today we're talking about the Yard by Yard program, which is a great program to support native plant landscapes. So let's talk a little bit about this program.
Yeah. So the Yard by Yard program, it was started in 2020, just before the pandemic. So it kind of got off to a slow start, but now on the other side, we're moving pretty quick. And it's all about encouragement for homeowners to do eco-friendly landscaping. And that can be anything from planting a pollinator garden or making your own compost, growing your own food. Yeah, Jamie's yard is a perfect example of focusing on natives.
They're doing a little bit of everything here,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
And so does it have to be in the front yard or the backyard? What are some of the regulations for applying for Yard by Yard?
So the Yard by Yard application is kind of split up into 4 categories: soil health, water conservation, food production, and wildlife habitat. And in order to qualify for the program, you have to check 1 box within each of those categories, and you have to check 5 boxes total.
Okay.
The boxes that you'd be checking would be practices that you're participating in. So boxes that Jamie is checking is he is using organic mulch. You know, that's a box that you would check for soil health, right? He uses drought-resistant plants. That's a box he could check for water conservation. He plants native host plants like milkweed. That's a box he could check for and wildlife conservation.
So he's probably got more than just 5 to actually
He's
check
checking
here.
a lot, yeah. But that all to say that there's a wide breadth of qualifying for the program, and then maybe going to the extent that Jamie and Lauren are going, where they're kind of all out. You can garden in your landscaping beds, and you can still qualify for the program. It's really all yeses. The program is meant to be encouragement. There's only one no, and that's no use of pesticides.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about, adding and creating a native landscape. You can see in the front yard, it's still new, it's still starting. So I think sometimes it's an education process for what people should have as far as their expectations, right?
Oh, definitely. You know, most native landscaping plants are perennials. They kind of have to go through an establishment period before they get big. It might ebb and flow a little bit. There's a little work on the front end. You know, right here in front of us, Jamie had to shovel all this mulch to get rid of the Bermuda, and that's a lot of work. You know, and then you still have to establish plants, and whether it's native plants or ornamentals, that establishment process still requires things like watering, keeping the weeds down, all that classic gardening stuff.
Yeah, and he has sprinklers out here. I think that's kind of a big misconception, is you don't have to water natives, but in order to get them established, you need to help them, right?
Oh, for sure. And I think any Oklahoma gardener is well aware that there's not many happy plants in July and August in Oklahoma, especially in sunny spots.
Right.
Dead plants are part of nature.
Absolutely.
But we don't necessarily want that in our front yards, right? We want our front yards to be beautiful, so they still require a little bit of care. All that stuff you do for your other gardens, your ornamental gardens, like pruning, watering to establish, is still relevant.
Right.
Hopefully it's a little bit less after plants are established, but the work's definitely still there.
So they're hopefully going to get some deeper roots to be able to tap into that longer supply of water that we get right now in the springtime, right? So.
100%. Yes. Yeah. Definitely more drought resistant.
So I would imagine having your signs out, that's a sign that you guys provide for anybody that has applied for this and actually been approved through it?
Yeah. So that's kind of probably the big prize at the light at the end of the tunnel for people who apply to the Yard by Yard program. You get a sign. This sign kind of helps let your neighbors know that, hey, what I'm doing here is intentional. I don't just have a crazy weedy patch, but these are native plants that are serving an ecological purpose. And it also gives them something to Google, right? Some people might see a garden and be like, what is that person doing? But now they can Google Yard by Yard. What is Yard by Yard? They learn about eco-friendly landscaping. They learn about native landscaping just by kind of having a sign out front.
Well, I think this is a great educational program. It makes it look intentional. Is this a statewide program or?
Yeah. So the Yard by Yard program, it is a statewide program, but in order for it to kind of come to your house, your county has to approve it. We have about 30 counties that participate. Our biggest, most busy counties are Cleveland County, Oklahoma County, and Tulsa County. And the reason for that is because Yard by Yard is targeted at urban populations. Okay. The Conservation Commission started in the 30s after the Dust Bowl, and it was only really interacting with commodity crop farmers, corn and wheat, to try to help them improve their soil health and kind of save Oklahoma soils. The Yard by Yard program is a step for the Conservation Commission into urban environments. We want to get involved with all landowners, big and small, and this is kind of our way of doing that.
This is fantastic. So if people want to find out more about this, where can they find that?
Yeah, they can check us out on Facebook, the Yard by Yard Community Resiliency Project, or they can check out our website, okconservation.org.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Marcus. We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.